think someone slashed my tires?
Well, he knows this is your car. He saw us getting into it earlier.
Hey, handsome! Cut it out. My friend wants your number.
Kill you.
Last year, as part of my Path to Halloween videos, a series which I want to continue from now on for every year, as I simply love the Halloween time, the most viewed video for a movie review was All Hallows Eve, a two-part horror anthology, which first movie was the feature film debut of Art the Clown, who was already in a short called Terrifier. The second All Hallows Eve did not include Art, but Art seems to be a character that really stick to the director Damien Leone, or with the audiences. Because Art got his own movie soon afterwards with Terrifier, the feature film, which was made on a micro budget of $50,000. And what can I say, it's not a good movie actually, at least in my opinion. Comparing it to other ultra low budget movies by special effects makeup artists, it's actually one of the better ones, but that's a very low bar. It is better than 100 Tears though. But let me talk a bit about Terrifier. Terrifier is the story of two girls getting home from a Halloween party when they decide to grab something to eat. While at a pizza place, they are observed by a mime in a clown costume. And while one of the girls is already creeped out, the other one is poking fun at the clown. The girls leave and soon discover that the tires of the car have been slashed. Meanwhile, Art kills the guys in the pizzeria, and the girls get into an abandoned house, while they wait for one of the girls' sister. Unfortunately, this night is turning into a bloodbath that will be remembered in horror history as the Miles County Massacre, and the birth of what seems to have become a new horror icon. And I have to say, I don't quite get it. I mean, yeah, it is gory, but it's such a messy and uneven movie. For one, the characters are hardly fleshed out. The story is just a bunch of people getting into the abandoned building and getting horrifically killed. I guess they try to make it a bit of a twist that the final girl is someone else than you would first assume, but the eventual final girl is even less fleshed out. The story is an absolute mess and just tries to get more flesh for the meat grinder by having people show up at the building. It's not clever in any way and none of the characters are interesting or well written. The story is also super flat. You don't really root for anybody and you don't get to know them. It's also very repetitive. The main girl just runs around the building, finds someone that Art killed or is killing, he gets overwhelmed and then she and someone else run away. They also show the probably most gruesome kill in the middle of the movie, and there's nothing later on that tops it, which also takes away from the excitement in my opinion. The movie also looks pretty bad, which is probably because of the super low budget. Art is also not really threatening in this one. He gets often just shoved over and beat, and it's just so idiotic that no one tries to finish the job. These people have seen him mutilate and kill their friends and innocent bystanders, and when they have the chance to finish him off, they just hit him once and run away. As I said, it's better than 100 Tears and most of the Olaf Ittenbach movies, but it's not good. If you want something bloody, you could also watch Sweatshop, and if you want something a little bit better, there's also Chrome Skull or the Hatchet movies. Some of them are actually fun. It's kind of okay because of the splatter if you liked it, but it's definitely not a good movie that we have here. It's just more mean-spirited and more violent than other slashers, but also super cheap and even flatter than most slashers. And that's why I can't give this movie more than 4 points, but it's probably closer to 3 points, to be honest. But I guess it was picked up by Netflix at some point and enjoyed a lot of popularity in streaming, which led to a Kickstarter campaign for the second movie, Terrifier 2, and I'm glad that I put 2 movies into one video, because only talking about the first one would be a very short video. Originally I didn't care too much about the sequel, because I didn't like the first one when it was announced, but then I heard that it's almost 2.5 hours long and it was supposed to be pretty good. And it is already quite unique to have a slasher that is so long. So I got the Blu-ray from the UK and gave it a watch. So did it improve on the original or is it just as bad? Well, Terrifier 2 is a movie that I actually almost could love, even though it's not great. It sounds crazy, I know, but it's true. Terrifier 2 improves on every aspect of the original. It has better kills, it's more imaginative, and I think it's insane that they shot this thing with only $250,000. While you can still see that this is not a Hollywood production, it's much better than the first one. The effects are pretty cool and very brutal. There are much more locations and actors here, including some small cameos. But what is it about? Well, after Art has disfigured Victoria and shot himself, he's brought to the morgue, where he kills the pathologist and tries to rip out parts of the poor guy to replace whatever was damaged in the previous night. And it is brutal. We also see Art doing some laundry afterwards. While doing so, he sees a little girl in the same face paint, but he doesn't kill her. He actually seems to be connected to her, and she seems to exist only in his imagination. Art cleans up and leaves, and we see now the actual star of the Terrifier movies, at least in my opinion. The real final girl, the beautiful Laura Lavera, who is an actress and stunt woman. As the movie progresses, she will learn that her father seemed to have visions of Art and her and how she basically turned into a hero. We get some more family stuff here and there, and her brother is looking for hints about Art and is trying to learn about his origins. We then see the family and Sienna, the character played by Lavera, with their daily routine during Halloween, while she is getting stalked by Art. And while we see some gruesome deaths, and it is still quite brutal and mean-spirited, even more than the previous one, there's also enough space to flesh out Sienna and her family, and even give her friends a bit of time to establish their characters, at least a little bit, which makes the kills just more effective. There's also some fantasy elements towards the end, and some nightmares. There is a pretty cool nightmare which Sienna has about the clown cafe, which ends in a bloodbath. And in the long showdown we also see more supernatural stuff, not only by Art. The gore is of course extraordinary. The first movie got some notoriety because of the hacksaw kill, but the bedroom scene here also got mentioned a lot, and I think here it is really justified. There has probably never before been a kill this long, explicit and messed up in a slasher. This gives even some of the torture movies a run for its money. While I think it's a bit too cruel and brutal for a character that didn't really do anything wrong, it's also quite horrific and effective. I would have preferred to have an annoying or bad character get this kind of treatment though, and not just a friend of the final girl. What does hurt the movie though is the long runtime. Yes, the thing that intrigued me in the first place hurts the movie the most. The movie is way too long, and shaving off a couple of scenes here and there would most likely improve the movie. Especially towards the end, I really felt it this time. As much as I love to see Sienna kick ass and beat up that clown, it feels way too long. But seeing a movie improve so much over its predecessor and doing this much in regard to stunts, sets, effects, picture quality itself, actors, story and characters is honestly impressive. And as I said, this is still a super low budget movie. If it wouldn't be that long, I would rate it even higher. To be honest, I think that the movie really made me interested in bloody movies again, after I didn't watch them for a while. So to sum up, we have a great lead actress, cool effects, interesting ideas and story, but it's too long in general and a bit too mean-spirited. But it is interesting. While it still has some rough edges, it is quite interesting, and I'm intrigued on how the story will progress. It's really close to a 7, but I give it a 6 out of 10 for now. It really is a cult movie though, and those usually get better on repeat viewings. So who knows, maybe I will like it more on the next viewing. You can check out my letterbox to see if my opinion will change one day. With the third movie starting this week in my region, I will most likely give it a watch. While the first two movies were Halloween themed, this new one is Christmas themed, and I'm curious how it will hold up against the predecessors. But if it's as good as the second one but shorter, I think I will have a bloody good time and get into the Christmas mood. You can also check out my All Hallows Eve videos from last year if you like. Have a spooky Halloween, everyone.
Worry about it.
Wait a minute, aren't you that guy from the costume shop?
Sir, what are you doing?
It wasn't me. He was covered in blood on his shirt and his hands when he got here.
I'm telling you, it was him, Allie. Right down to the little black dot on the tip of his nose.
You're really weird, you know that?
I believe him.
About what? Something really bad's gonna happen tonight.
No, I know when Jonathan's lying, okay? I could hear it in his voice. Something's wrong.
Look, we're gonna have fun. Stress-free environment.
Yep.
Speaking of surprises, kids, we have a very special guest with us today. All the way from Miles County, please welcome